Douglas County Board of Equalization.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Duda, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tusha.
Here.
Mr. Chairman.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first items on the Board of Equalization are approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization held Tuesday, January 31st, 2012. A call for the meeting for a meeting and set Tuesday, February 14th, 2012 as a date for hearing on certified assessment corrections reflecting the addition of omitted property to the tax rolls or increased property value.
Motion to approve A and B.
Second.
If we could call for the vote.
Motion passes.
Next, we have a place for citizen comments. Now, this is for comments of things not on the agenda, and this is for the Board of Equalization, not the County Board meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on anything not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will go to item B, which is, hold on a second. What?
We should be
I have, oh, I'm saving paper. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
My internet was down, and I'm used to doing it on the web-based. Next is resolutions. D, hearings on certified assessment corrections reflecting omitted or undervalued property and approval of corrections to the tax rolls. We have items CAC 12015, CAC 12016, CAC 12017, and CAC 12018. We also have item E, which is certified assessment corrections reflecting a correction in the value and approval, CAC 12019, and F is approving application for tax exemptions on motor vehicles recommended for approval by the county treasurer.
Motion approved.
Second.
And this is to approve D, E, and F.
Yes.
And Mr. Clerk, call for the vote, please.
Motion passes.
Next, we have a protest, item G. We have been asked to lay this over for a few weeks because there are some changes that will be taken, and this will prevent the applicant on the protest from having to come to us twice. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on the protest, item G? Do we need, could we have a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, this, item G will be laid over for 2 weeks, and we will vote on adjournment. Call for the vote, please.
Motion passes.
Now we will convene as the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Call for the roll.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Duda, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Tusha.
Here.
Mr. Chairman.
Here. First, we have minutes and claims approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held last Monday, January 30th and Tuesday, January 31st. And B is approval of claims submitted for payment processed through Tuesday, February 7th, 2012. The complete listing is on the web and in the clerk's office. So if anybody would like to look at every check we've written, you're welcome to do so. Okay. We have one abstention on item B. Should we pull that and handle that separately?
Yes.
Okay. Call.
Motion to approve A and B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion passes.
Next, we have the consent agenda. There's items A through E. Does any commissioner wish to have anything pulled for discussion or otherwise?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as is.
This is items A through E. There are a total of 5 items. We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion passes.
Next, we have recognitions and proclamations, and I see we do not have any on the agenda. Citizen comments. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on anything not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will go to public hearings. And this is the public hearing to solicit comment regarding the future of the interlocal agreement between the City of Omaha and Douglas County that oversees the Greater Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau. I would like to thank all of you for coming. There are a few simple ground rules. We ask you to please limit your comment to 3 minutes so that other people can comment. I see we have a very large crowd here, and I'm pleased to see this many people participating. So anybody who'd like to comment for or against, this is a very open informational meeting. No action is going to be taken today. The agreement does not come up until March 28th, and Mayor Settle has asked for if we would consider a 6-month extension of the agreement so we can do further study and look at options. This is a complex issue, so this may not be the only public hearing we have on this issue. And everybody is welcome, so if somebody would like to come up to the podium and start. Well, we also ask if you please, come. Please state your name and address.
I'm Dana Markle. I am director of the Omaha Convention Visitor Bureau, and our office is at 1001 Farnham Street. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners.
Good morning, Dana.
I am going to have to talk and try to work this at the same time, so that may be a challenge here. Okay, I'm looking at this. What? Oh, okay. Thank you for seeking input this morning as you consider the next steps for the governance of the Convention Visitor Bureau. For the past 10 years, the Convention Visitor Bureau has operated under this interlocal agreement between Douglas County and the City of Omaha. And the visitor promotion lodging tax has been our primary source of funds. As you consider future steps, there are a few slides, I promise, there's 4 to be exact, that I'd like to share. Looking at the first slide, I thought it was important to consider everything that's happened in the last 10 years under this interlocal agreement within our county. When you read this, the CenturyLink Center, of course, started much of this, Quest Center at the time, but we've added a hotel, we have a new performing arts center, we have a pedestrian bridge, which actually is quite the tourism attraction. Our North Downtown development has added an entirely new entertainment district to our market. The Henry Dorley Zoo continues to be bigger and better and world-renowned. Of course, we have TD Ameritrade Park, but not everything is downtown. Village Point Shopping, we've had tremendous partnerships with them. And I include the Dodge Expressway. The Dodge Expressway has made our city very accessible and easy to get to, things that a visitor would be interested in western Douglas County. On the sculptures around First National Bank, Midtown Crossing, and then the UNO expansion, we've seen tremendous tourism coming from this. Families, now that there are dorms at UNO, we have a lot of people coming in, just checking out Omaha as a future site for students. Whoop. If I go back, how do I go back? There, okay. In 2010, we hired an economic study for tourism, and we gained a better idea of exactly how the tourism dollar is spent in Douglas County. And I thought this was important for you to gain a better understanding of this. We were, I don't know if surprised is the word, but food and beverage represents the biggest percentage of the dollar spent. So 28 cents of every dollar goes towards food. Retail is the second largest. Recreation, transportation, and then hotel represents 20%. This is an interesting slide because, as you know, our funding comes from a hotel lodging tax, but as you can see, it's certainly not the largest piece of the pie here in revenue received within our county. Not only have we added development and we've improved our Omaha visitor package and destination, but we've added hotels. In fact, our supply is 25% higher in Douglas County alone. This does not include Sarpy County or Potawatomi County, the growth that they've experienced in hotel rooms. So in the last 10 years, I say we've increased 25%, but that comes to 607,000 new hotel rooms to fill a year. That's over 500,000 people we need to bring into Douglas County just to maintain the same occupancy percentages we had in 2002. This is significant, and I think it's something that needs to be a crucial consideration as you talk about steps forward. And then concluding, this is a happy story. Advertising, we've seen tremendous return on our investment in advertising, and I use Kansas City as an example. In 2008, we really began a concentrated effort with an advertising campaign. It was print, television, radio, and social. And we purchased polling research in Kansas City. I use Kansas City because this is the one city we have the funds to really target. But just with 2-3 years of advertising, we've seen a 60% increase in visitation to Omaha from Kansas City. That is over 78,000 people coming that do not have a restaurant, do not have a place to stay, are looking to shop. That equals $9.3 million in additional spending. Our investment was about $700,000. So in closing, once again, as you think about the future, if we would appreciate your participation with the City of Omaha to ensure that we can continue advertising like this, and our goal is to increase our reach into cities such as Denver, Chicago, Minneapolis, and just within our 2-hour, 5-hour drive into Omaha. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Commissioners, does anyone have questions for Dana? Okay. If we could have the next person. I'm going to ask real briefly, is there anyone from the Omaha City Council, because I was told there would be a couple up here who wanted to speak, and since they have a meeting today, if they're here, please come. Pardon? Okay, I didn't see anybody as I was scanning the audience, but okay. Sir, your name and address?
Good morning. I'm Mike Kasalka. I'm the Assistant General Manager at the DoubleTree Downtown, and I'm the Vice President of the Metropolitan Hospitality Association. And our address is 1616 Dodge Street. Just make a couple of statements, follow up with Dana. Since the first interlocal agreement was negotiated in 2002, Douglas County and the City of Omaha have greatly added to our destination appeal beyond the convention center and arena that we have built. She had also mentioned, the Holland Performing Arts Center, the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge, TD Ameritrade Park, Midtown Crossing. Because of this growth, a broader-based interlocal agreement should be considered with a greater financial contribution from the city. Our hotel supply has increased 25%, as Dana said, in the past 4 years, while demand has not increased at the same pace. Our occupancies have declined because there are more rooms to fill. We hope that an agreement between the county and city can provide an opportunity to increase a marketing budget that will spur increased demand. Our hotels provide significant property tax revenue, and a healthy tourism industry will return greater tax revenue. Our hotel taxes are the highest of any metro area in the United States. Government officials don't hear the common complaints as to how expensive Omaha is as our front desk clerks do on a daily basis. Please use this opportunity to allocate a portion of this high hotel tax towards destination sales and marketing to help our industry, which collects this tax. And then if you, as Douglas County, choose to renew the interlocal agreement with the City of Omaha, this time around, require that the city dedicate marketing funds to support the development that has occurred over the past 10 years. Any questions?
Thank you. I would like to point something out briefly, if I may. What we're doing is looking at the entire scope of everything. We may want to renew it, and it could be that the city doesn't want to. We have a number of options in front of us. So after this meeting, I'm going to ask people to send us input as to what can be improved and how it can be improved. We operate by state statute. The county gains nothing. We are a pass-through on the funds. So we have half of the funds we get go to the Visitor Improvement Fund, and the other half goes to the Visitor Promotion Fund. And the usage of these funds are spelled out very distinctly in state statute. So I thought that might be important to set the groundwork here. So, any questions for this gentleman?
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
if we could have the next speaker.
Morning. Kyle Heiberg. I'm the general manager at the Hilton Garden Inn in Omaha, West Omaha, 17879 Chicago Street. I was employed in Omaha in 2002 in the hotel industry when the first interlocal agreement was negotiated. Pleased with the sales and marketing organization that has developed. When we've progressed, well, we can probably do so much more. And to piggyback on what Dana and Mike were saying, as the general manager at the West Omaha location, we can't depend on convention delegates to fill our rooms at our hotel. We build our business with individual travelers. To grow this market base, we pay close attention to how the Convention and Visitors Bureau markets our city as a destination. We've seen increased advertising in Kansas City and Des Moines, which has resulted in more visitors to our hotel. And we hope with any new agreement, additional marketing dollars can be dedicated towards marketing new and different markets within that 5-mile drive, or 5-hour drive. Our hotel is located in western Douglas County, and our area is growing as a tourism destination. Our hotel collects over $18 in tax revenue for every $100 in room rates spent. Of the $18 of tax revenue, only $1.38 goes to growing our business out west. I just ask that you use your best efforts for us to gain additional dollars to bring more visitors to Omaha and all of Douglas County. Thank you.
Yes. Commissioner Rogers?
Yes, sir. Kyle, how did you come up with that calculation of $1?
$1.38. Actually, might defer to Dana on this one. Of that entertainment, yeah, it's the 2.5% out of the 18% tax rate that we charge our guests.
And 1% comes back.
Correct.
I'm still not clear on it.
Okay.
I'm still not clear on what makes up that calculation that says how is that caught?
Dana, would you mind coming up?
And I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, how you say it goes specifically to an area of town. That's why I don't understand the calculation. I understand how do you, just tell me how you come up to say where it goes in a particular area of the county.
I think, were you speaking of our marketing budget? But, I mean, we have to look at, if it's a lodging tax distribution question, we really should have all of the distribution sources in front of us to best explain it, because as you know, it's distributed in, I think, 8 different ways. Not trying to avoid your question, if it's about where in the county the money is spent, is that what you were asking?
No, there's just enough doubt in the fact that, and I'm not questioning it, it may be a fair point either way, but I'm just trying to get an idea how you came up with it, and if that's fair, I just know how to take the fact. I mean, is there some hard science behind it, or is just some calculation that you came up with?
We've talked about this as an industry, and as mentioned, the $18 that is charged on a $100 room. That's the highest hotel lodging tax in the country. So in discussions with the hotel industry, I've been asked how much of this truly is spent to bring in new visitors, and that's how we came up with that percentage.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, and if we could have the next person who'd like to talk.
Good morning. My name is Brian McGee, 9354 Dewey Avenue. I'm the president of Upstream Brewing Company. First of all, I want to express my support for an extension of the interlocal agreement between the city and the county to jointly promote conventions and tourism in the area. It has worked well for the past 10 years, and we should continue to have a joint effort through one organization. I have operated my Upstream Brewing Company restaurants in Omaha for 15 years in downtown's Old Market and for 8 years in West Omaha's Legacy Development. During that time, I have seen many changes in our city and to our industry as more restaurant seats have and continue to be added. Local diners clearly make up most of our traffic, but with more restaurants out there, we can't always rely on local traffic to keep our restaurants operating at sustainable levels. Business is much better when we see visitors come to Omaha, and we should invest more through our CVB to market to potential visitors and groups. We clearly have a lot to boast about to those potential visitors in downtown Omaha, and with the newly expanded downtown Hilton, we should intensify our marketing to drive more convention business to the city. We have national recognition through the College World Series, U.S. Olympic swim trials, and other national events, and we should leverage that recognition with additional marketing funds for a greater return. At Upstream Brewing Company, we estimate that our downtown restaurant is as much as 30% busier when convention business is in town and up to 35% busier during the summer tourism season. It's considerably higher. I suspect that many downtown and midtown restaurant owners would say business is always better with visitors in town. Outside of downtown, West Omaha and Douglas County organizations and businesses are investing in developing new attractions and events. We want visitors to know that there's a lot more to do in Omaha than what they can find to do in and around downtown. So we need to spend more money out there marketing to those people. To that end, I believe that we should provide additional marketing funds for our CVB for that purpose. While I am not a supporter of the 2% restaurant tax, it would make it at least a little more acceptable to me if a reasonable portion of the tax we collect and forward to the city could be used towards a more extensive marketing campaign that delivered more visitors throughout the area. Again, I support the extension of the interlocal agreement, and I would greatly appreciate your consideration of my comments regarding additional targeted marketing funds for the CVB. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Next.
Good morning. First, I want to thank you for your support that you do give the Greater Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau. I am Denise Nieberge, the Vice President of Convention Center Sales and Marketing for CenturyLink Center Omaha at 455 North 10th Street. CenturyLink Center Omaha has developed a very productive team working relationship with the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau that assists us in securing future business for our building. The Convention and Visitors Bureau team has developed the city into a convention destination, and we need to continue working with the existing team to secure business for our city and growing this business for the future. The staff at the Convention and Visitors Bureau has built a tremendous working relationship with meeting planners all over the country, and they have been successful in putting Omaha on the map as a meeting destination site for groups of all sizes. So any additional marketing dollars you can send our way will assist us in bringing more conventions and visitors to the city of Omaha, which is a beautiful destination. We hear about it all the time, that it's a secret, and we're trying to get that secret out by marketing our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Tunikin. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Doubletree by Hilton Omaha downtown, 1616 Dodge Street. I came back into the city about 6 years ago from being out of town after I've been here for many years before that, and was struck right away by the interaction between the CVB and the hotel groups in the city of Omaha. I had left 10 years prior to that, and there was a CVB there, but it really wasn't interactive. Now with the interlocal agreement, it's much more proactive in what it does. It works with the hotels to really promote the city of Omaha. They work together as a cohesive unit to make Omaha and Douglas County a better place for meetings, conventions, and the individual traveler. They do this through a variety of things with the directors of sales. Trade shows. We have opportunities now to actually go out to several trade shows that they coordinate. Familiarization trips, where people come in from outside the city to learn about the city and are transported around by the Convention and Visitors Bureau to different hotels and different attractions in the city. They do it through lead generation, sending out business potential to all the hotels in the city of Omaha, and the regular meetings between the directors of sales and the CVB staff to really understand where they're going, what they're looking at, and letting us also go with them and realize as a city, if we all work together as one, it's a much better way of doing things. And of course, they're always just a phone call away. If you ever have a question about a group that they have brought up, they really know what they're talking about. They really understand it, and they drive that business in Omaha. And it's not just downtown. I was working for the Omaha Marriott previous to this job I have right now, and out there was the same thing. Yes, there's more downtown. There is in the West Omaha area, but there was a West Omaha DOS meeting with the CVB on a regular basis. There were lead generations out there also. Downtown gets a lot of the splash, but West Omaha does get a lot of the business also because of the tourism efforts that they put in for doing other things and other events in the city. I started in the sales side of the Omaha hotel community in 1987. The current relationship between the CVB and hotels is much more of a partnership with everyone working towards driving the use of guest rooms in Omaha. The CVB is much more proactive now and works hard with hotels to provide us with the opportunities for citywides, single hotel meetings, conventions, and individual travelers. In any future agreements between Douglas County and the city of Omaha, I would like to see a more equitable partnership between the two. This will help drive more people to Omaha area, and it will increase tourism. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. I'm Lindy Hoyer, representing Omaha Children's Museum at 500 South 20th Street. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you today as you host this public hearing discussing the interlocal agreement between the county and the city. As the director of Nebraska's second most visited arts and cultural tourist attraction, I applaud the efforts made by our city and county to ensure that our local attractions are top-notch, well-maintained, and promoted to visitors from outside our county. In 2011, Omaha Children's Museum welcomed more visitors than ever before, serving over 275,000. Of those visitors, 27% came from distances 100 miles or greater from the Omaha-Douglas County market. For the record, Omaha Children's Museum benefits greatly from the support of Douglas County funds that are allocated through the grants that the Visitors Promotion Council provides. These funds, which are allocated by state statute, are intended to improve visitor attractions and facilities in the county. And as a representative of an organization that receives these funds, I can testify that the Omaha Children's Museum has been able to improve our facility, host blockbuster summer exhibitions to attract visitors, and conduct targeted marketing efforts which have resulted in increased tourism traffic. Our relationship with the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau is a strong working partnership, and we appreciate the efforts that the CVB staff puts towards marketing Omaha as a destination, particularly as a destination for families. Promotions like the Omaha Adventure have shown proven results to driving visitors from specific markets such as Kansas City and Des Moines. We track at the Omaha Children's Museum our visitors by zip code, and we definitely see spikes in attendance from those markets through the efforts that the Convention and Tourism make in those particular markets. So in conclusion, from my perspective, I would say that the interlocal agreement is working. And we are fortunate that the professional team led by Dana Markle can maximize the limited resources of the Bureau and produce excellent and measurable results. Clearly, with more resources allocated, more results could be achieved. But I just want to say it is working, and I thank you and applaud you for working together as a city and a county to promote Omaha as a destination. So thank you for this opportunity to address you today. Together, we make Omaha and Douglas County a vibrant and welcoming destination. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lindy.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. I'm Calvin Sisson, representing the Omaha's Henry Doorly Zoo at 3701 South 10th Street. It's my pleasure to come before you in support of the interlocal agreement, and Dana was very good with her statistics over the last 10 years, and I think it's also important to note, as Nebraska's top tourist attraction. We've had seen $50 million, over $50 million worth of improvements to our facility, which of course we then hope that that will be an attraction for visitors both locally and outside of the Omaha area. There have been 3 specific collaborative efforts with the OCVB. We've been prominently featured on advertising, including television commercials and print ads, in which families have been the target, and of course that is our target audience at the zoo. These advertisements are placed in markets Omaha's Henry Doorly Zoo had previously not advertised, in keeping us top of mind in these geo-targeted areas. We also jointly participated in the Omaha Adventure promotion, which Lindy just mentioned, which was a coupon book that was created by the OCVB and directly mailed to targeted families. And that helped us touch 50,000 homes in our regional area, which would include Kansas City, Des Moines, and Sioux Falls, which of course all 3 have zoos. And so that market is very important to us. And then, of course, the third one is the assistance with having the giant map promotion with the giant pin featured outside our facility, which is more of a interlocal agreement, and having people come and identify where the zoo is on that map. Our attendance annually over the last three years has averaged about 1.4 million. We are fortunate that we have 20% of that attendance, which is outside of the Omaha MSA area. We define that as the greater Omaha area and Council Bluffs area. So having 20% of that attendance that would come primarily from a Kansas City or a Sioux Falls is important to our operations. Also, the collaboration with the OCVB within a nonprofit where budgets are stretched, this gives us an opportunity for us to work with their budgets and also expand our reach. And I think that with a lot of nonprofits would be a big deal and something that we would support. And so we hope that as we look at this interlocal agreement, that it does become something that's top of mind for both the city and the county, that we can move that forward and potentially increase it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please just start walking up.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Beals, 17606 Z Street. I have been a member of the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau board for the last 3 years and have had the privilege of seeing what happens firsthand in that organization. And I've come to learn that tourism is a very valuable form of economic development for the Omaha area. It is what you might call one of the cleanest forms of economic development. People come from elsewhere where they earn their money, they spend it here, and they leave without putting very much social burden on us as well. And we've done an outstanding job as a community in building ourselves up. Previous speakers have mentioned the attractions that have been added, many of which are world class. I know personally I've had the chance to talk with many meeting planners and convention goers who've come to Omaha, and there are a lot of things we are doing quite right. The CenturyLink Center, by all indications, is world class and one of the top convention facilities, especially for a city of our size. The quality of the downtown hotels has increased dramatically over the last several years. Many convention planners are shocked by the convenient proximity of Epley Airport to the downtown attractions, including the convention center. We've also become much more of that retail and entertainment weekend destination. That is a very, very desirable form of tourism. People coming here to spend just 1 to 2 nights, drop money, and then go back home. And we have a strong and committed team at the CVB that works very hard with the limited resources that they have. As you consider the next interlocal agreement, it is critically important, as other speakers have indicated, to increase the marketing budget, because to be frank, we do have some challenges to overcome that many other convention destinations do not have. Obviously, the weather. It's cold here for a third of the year. We lack some of the topographical things that pull people into other tourist destinations. And we also have a lack of an image. We don't necessarily have a bad image among meeting planners. We have a what? What is that? What is Omaha type of image? And that's almost as big of a challenge. And as others have indicated, we do have the tax burden to overcome. Last fall, I happened to see an article in a magazine that was geared towards convention and meeting planners, and it listed 50 cities and ranked them from 1 to 50 according to the highest tax burden that a convention goer would likely incur. Things like room tax, rental car tax, restaurant tax, etc. And I said to myself, thank God Omaha did not make the list, because if we did, we would be in last place by a large margin. So while we are doing things very, very well, we have some challenges to overcome, and being able to compete with our peer cities, our competitor cities, on a more fair basis, a more even basis in the marketing budget world would be a big help. We've done well. We've been very good at building things here. Now we simply have to promote those. And as you consider the next interlocal agreement, I would ask that you not only consider budget and marketing issues, but keep in mind also the possibility of forming a not-for-profit destination management organization that would have a solid government contract put in place with the city and the county, and would be the primary marketing arm for conventions and tourism, but would be able to be a little more nimble, a little quicker to respond to the changing needs in that industry if it were at least a quasi-independent, if not totally independent, not-for-profit organization. Thank you for your time and attention.
After everyone's done, okay. Next speaker, please. Is there anyone? Yes, okay.
Good morning. I'm Carla Ewert. My address is 555 Riverfront Plaza. I'm here on behalf of the Greater Omaha Chamber, and I want to talk about our partnership that we have with the Omaha Convention Visitors Bureau. We jointly market a lot of the activities and the efforts that we do together. Some of the things that you probably have heard about or seen, most recently it was with the Delta Airlines in-flight publication. We have a little bit different audience than the Convention Visitors Bureau does. We are trying to attract business people to come here and to move here and to start their businesses, or people to have careers here. The Convention Visitors Bureau has that tourism focus, but all in all, it's all the same, and we are promoting that consistent Omaha message. Some days that we're on the phone 3 and 4 times a day to make sure that we keep our messages clean and clear and strong. We are going to be working again this year with Southwest Airlines. We've had a publication before, and I just brought it to show you. Remember, 2 years ago we did this joint project together. We'll be doing another with Southwest Airlines this year, again a supplement. Our business community, our attractions, our nonprofits support the marketing and the advertising, and we all come together, the Convention Visitors Bureau dollars and the Chamber dollars, to support that kind of effort. The other thing that is we are really re-emphasizing, and we've been doing it, we want to do it even more, and some of you may have heard about a conference that's coming in October called the IAMC. It's an industrial asset management organization, and these are people who make decisions about where businesses should locate around the United States. And they're coming to Omaha for their 10th anniversary. We have been in an incredibly close partnership with the CVB, and we are going to be doing more and more discussions like that. The Chamber has what we call target advisory groups, and you've probably heard David Brown and others of us talk about that before. Those are industries that we believe best fit into the Omaha market. And we have a very close partnership with the CVB staff to make sure that they are helping us and that we are helping them identify the kinds of industries and the kind of trade shows, the kind of conventions that should be here. So this partnership is very strong. It's daily, and we want it to continue. Thank you for your support of their organization, and we count that as a support of our organization. We believe strongly that this partnership should stay as it is. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Commissioner Bergeson.
Dana, can you come up for a second? Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us how the GOCVB is funded? Where does the money come from?
Our budget is about $3.1 million. I'm going to give you approximates. Approximately 2.4 comes from the Visitor Promotion Fund that is collected by Douglas County, and $600,000 comes from a stadium tax, a TD Ameritrade stadium tax or ballpark stadium tax. And since we have so many hoteliers here, I do want to thank the hotel community because they are the ones who went to then Mayor Fahey to seek that additional money for marketing. They were very instrumental in gaining that $600,000 for our marketing efforts. And then we raised $40,000 to $60,000 in co-op advertising, some retail sales, just miscellaneous things, some website advertising.
And you kind of answered my question, the $600,000 that comes from the stadium tax. This agreement's been in place for 10 years, and so how long has that been in place? Obviously not too long since we just got the ballpark.
2008.
And that's been a constant $600,000 every year since that time?
It's 0.5%. We took a dip in 2009. And it began in 2008, I believe. But yeah, it's since it's a percentage of the lodging tax, it varies around 500 to 600,000. It will drop if we don't keep the demand up. We'll lose that revenue, as we'll lose promotion fund money also.
And I found it interesting, too, that the highest percentage of dollars coming from people coming here is in the food industry, but yet it doesn't surprise me because that's kind of what we're known for,
right.
Is our food. Has anyone ever asked the city for money from that restaurant tax, as was mentioned earlier, that maybe we should be using some of that money for promotion?
I don't know if any, I am not aware of anyone specifically going to the city seeking a contribution of that kind. But I do know when it was first introduced, and I believe the mayor introduced a higher restaurant tax, but he did budget $2.3 million to go towards marketing. And when city council reviewed that, there were some changes made, and the lodging or the restaurant tax was reduced, and our funding was eliminated.
Was eliminated. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Rogers. Oh, Mary Ann, were you done?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I want to first say thank you, Mr. Chair, for putting this in the public hearing mode, and I want to thank all of you all for coming out today. I've always thought, and I say this from a perspective of probably only a few people that I've had the chance to understand from this side, but also from the city side when it first got done, when I worked in the mayor's office, and really gained an appreciation for the Bureau and its spot. A lot of things, comments were made out there about the last 10 years and since the agreement was in place and how things worked, and I would take another opinion in respects to the fact that, I don't know if it's so much the agreement, but the fact that things that have happened over the last 10 years with the building of the facilities downtown and other attractions, it's put us in a different league in regards to what we've had and how we've looked at tourism. So I don't think the agreement in itself is the magic bullet. I think what we've had and what we've had to do has made a difference. Now, I'm saying what I'm about to say from a perspective of somebody that's really tried to understand this industry from a lot of different aspects. I've had conversations, pro and con, with people in this room. So what I'm about to say, I hopefully is taken as my advocacy. No, and I don't have any questions for you, Dana. I don't agree with the agreement as it stands now. I don't agree with it because the fact is that we've got to look at a way of putting new money into the system. The agreement has to be done to put more in there because basically from the build-up that's been done over the last 10 years, we basically tried to create this first-class city and market it on a one-lane gravel road. And we don't have enough drive in it to put there and turn the revenue over. There are big potentials, I think, in economic development in the industry. So, my rationale more so for supporting it is not the way it's run, but the fact is I think everybody has to have some skin in the game. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody that benefits. I mean, I can remember some of the discussion, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of the discussion for the move happened because you had this brand new facility and you needed to drive it to make sure it was there. I think the education of the industry has went more from convention tourism to understand the fact that you have convention, leisure, and a whole lot of other things. So my hope is that, the force of you all that are here today will continue to evolve and continue to create the narrative for what tourism is here, because I really don't think there's a hard narrative there, and I think there's opportunity to really go. And I hope that the board will, at least personally, what I'll be advocating for, the mayor made a note, but I do think we need to seriously explore the 501c6 route or nonprofit route, which really goes there. And I just say that because we don't pay a lot of attention to it, but for the first time, we have competition in this realm from a neighbor. And if you don't believe it, Sarpy County is a serious competitor to us. And if we don't watch out, they will tap Douglas County for what it has. You already see it with things being sent over to the hotel there for conventions. You see things being built around there. Werner is the first hit that is going to hit at what we do. So I think if we're going to continue the agreement, we need to look at it from a new way of infusion. New money needs to be there, and we need to really bring the people around the table to take it to the next level. So I want to thank you all today for being here and encourage continued participation. And I hope that, at least my recommendation to the board for dialogue whenever we get to that point will be that we probably need to look at extending the agreement with the city for a year. But in that year, we've already went there with the Blue Ribbon Commission. I think we need to set up a separate commission appointed by the board with representatives from the industry to really have a hard dialogue, not so much about the CVB, but the way the CVB fits into the CLOG, because the CVB is one piece, and a lot of you all stressed a lot of other points out there. I hope this CVB is the first step, but I do think there's some continued dialogue that needs to happen, so I look forward to that point when we get there and hope that it puts us in a position to pave this road that we're marketing on and really get from a gravel road to the 6-lane highway that we need to have to make this thing go. So with that, thank you all again and look forward to the opportunity.
And I understand there's someone from the City Council here. If you'd like to speak, please come forward. And also from the Mayor's office.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Mr. Chairman, members of the County Board, Pete Festerson, Omaha City Council. I was more here to listen, but what I heard was encouraging. The city, of course, is very supportive of tourism and economic development, what that can do for our community, and very supportive of the interlocal agreement. And I was encouraged to hear the comments from somebody in the audience that think the same and would urge us to continue our partnership together in some fashion to encourage that to happen and continue the momentum we've experienced in that regard. I'm just here as a council member, not on behalf of any council committee or the administration, but I wanted to have the statement that I'm very supportive of that as well. I have some history with this agreement back to 2002, as does Commissioner Rogers, and we sure look forward to working together with you to continue that partnership and also acknowledge that funding is an issue. I think anybody would acknowledge that compared to our peer cities, we're probably at least 1 to 2 times underfunded in that regard, and so certainly that's something we need to continue to explore together. The city, as was mentioned, does contribute the $650,000 a year at this point through that occupation tax that Dana reviewed and mentioned. But certainly, as we continue this partnership, we need to find ways to increase that funding, to increase our effectiveness, because we are in a different ballgame now, and that was certainly the rationale at the time with the Quest Center and many other things that was occurring in our community. And now with additional facilities and additional hotels countywide and big-time events like the swim trials and the March Madness coming this year, we're in a different league, and we need to respect that and continue to work on that together. And I as one council member, am willing to do that, explore that issue with you as we either continue this agreement or look for ways to partner to enhance it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? I have a few comments and points I'd like to make. Commissioner Rogers, you brought up Sarpy County, and we are looking at local agreements with our various counties that surround us. And promoting Sarpy County is not our main focus, but whenever we promote Douglas County, there's a bleed off into Sarpy County, Pottawatomie County, and other areas surrounding Omaha. Perhaps we should look at marketing, and I know the Chamber does it, but perhaps we should look at marketing all of the region in a way we haven't done before. Commissioner Festerson mentioned the funding, and funding is very important. I would like to see a portion of the restaurant tax go into the funding, but this is something controlled by the City Council. The county generates no revenue from the tax we collect. It's all passed through, 100% pass through, and does not benefit the county other than county exposure. The city benefits tremendously from this organization because they benefit in the restaurant tax, the seat tax, the stadium tax, the occupation tax, and you go on and on and on. There's a tremendous revenue source. Sales tax, thank you. I was searching for that one. That was the third one. I kind of forgot. Never mind. Okay. The city benefits tremendously, and when the city benefits, we all benefit. Okay. We want to see this expand tremendously. We'd like to see the need for more hotels because these rooms are 90-95% occupied. We would love to see that. Now, the question before us is who should operate the Convention and Visitors Bureau? Should it be the City of Omaha and the County Board? Should it be the City of Omaha? We passed it on to the City of Omaha. Should it be a 501c6 corporation that is quasi-independent of the County Board? One other issue is when you are promoting your hotel or your restaurant, I'd like to see a lot of cross-promotion where you're promoting the other venues within the Douglas County borders and within the region. We have so much potential in this room. Out of curiosity, how many people are involved in the lodging industry? Could you raise your hands? Okay. And how many are in the, well, if you're in the lodging industry, you're in the food industry also usually, but how many people are strictly involved in the food industry? Okay. You've got quite a presence. I'm very pleased to see that. We have no agenda at this point. We are studying the issue. We want to make sure we do it right, and we want to make sure we do it right the first time. So, Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to follow up on the points you made about Sarpy to kind of pull out the fact that this is an industry that I think, with however we go about it, it's an industry that we haven't really grasped total amount of because, you know, I'm all for partnering with Sarpy County to some things, but I think this is one thing where I don't know how that plays out because, you know, you made the example of the chamber. I mean, there's bleed factor that surely happens, but to me, they're getting the bleed without suffering the pain of the cut. And, you know, we should be bleeding west instead of bleeding on the county line. When I say west, I mean west of 90th, west of things of there. And I think the CVB has to be in shape to make sure that bleeds in the right direction. For instance, you know, the chamber has, you know, the greater chamber, but the fact is that the chamber does, and I don't know, Carl, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it does economic development for Washington County. It does stuff for Sarpy County. They put some funding there. Sarpy County has put anything into our pot, and they're getting the benefit. So it's a different game. It's a different structure. And if that is to happen, you know, then they need to pony up, and I mean pony up big. But if you look at the deck and how it's lining up, they're not positioning the partner. They built a park. They built Cabela's. They're trying to take, well, they're not take, but they're trying to compete. And so I don't think that is a good example, I guess, to some degree. And I'm not saying to really, I'm not saying to be adversarial, but I'm saying that it points out that there's this education gap in there that you all need to fill in the gap for us and other people. So the opportunity is there. I think and time is here, so you need to make sure we take advantage of it while it's here. So that's the only point I wanted to make.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other comment? I would like to thank all of you for coming. I'm very appreciative of it. Please send us your input. Tell us how we can improve on this. Tell us where we know some of our weaknesses, but you're welcome to point out weaknesses we may not be aware of, because I know they exist. And let's help each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda are the committee discussions. Finance Committee, Commissioner Morgan and Commissioner Duda.
Finance Committee report as presented. I've talked to Joe Lorenz. We're waiting on the final blue ribbon report. We'll probably start to have some public meetings in the near future, but I think that's still probably 30 days away. Claire, you may have some thoughts on that, but I think, Joe, that's what I'm thinking, that we're probably 30 days away, something like that, but we'll be talking.
Yes, Commissioner, I would anticipate in March we'll start having our public meetings.
So we'll make sure that's announced and agenda and who or whatever, but we're talking about certain areas. This morning, again, he and I met for a while, so we'll see how things go.
Next, we have Administrative Services, Commissioner Tusa.
I'll let you take it.
Okay. We have a resolution adopting the rules of order for 2012, and I'm expecting discussion. I see Mary Ann.
I just have one. I noticed on the committees that the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council was added, and I don't think that's appropriate any longer. It's not a position-driven appointment anymore. It's almost like a holy name housing. I mean, I'm sure you're on boards in the community that don't come through a county board, like the Omaha Community Partnership, where it's the chair or their designee, or .com, where it's the chair or their designee. And so while the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council way back in 96 requested that a commissioner be on it, they've moved away from all position driven, and it's just asking community individuals to participate.
And I had checked with somebody on there who said it still was position driven, so I will recheck it, but I have no problem with it not being on there.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I don't know who you checked with, but it's not any longer.
Okay, so is that a motion to remove that from there? Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, well, I'm looking online for what's there, and I'm just trying to find the edited version. That I know I saw it, but it's not out there. I'm wondering where it may be. There was an edited version that was sent out, that Rick sent out with some red spots and things of that sort. So, and I'm just looking at the agenda from the attachment, and it's not in there. So I'm just making sure. I just wanted to look at that before we, I guess, made the changes. Because I know there were a couple of rule changes. There was one that Commissioner Boyd.
I'm sorry, may I?
Please do.
I'm looking at
Karen sent out an email on 2-2 with the changes in red. So if you could find her email.
That's the one. Yeah, and that's the one I can't find. I'm assuming that would be attached to the.
Yeah, it's not.
To the deal,
so
but it's
you
not.
actually need to pull up Karen's email on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, can somebody reiterate what is under that?
Let me. Pam, you had it out.
As we're talking about this one.
Yes. Yeah. Well, do you want to show that to Commissioner?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because I know Commissioner. I thought it would be used. I can't see.
We'll just take a moment to give our
You
minds a
can
break.
keep moving. I'll get up to speed.
Okay. Any other discussion? Commissioner Duda.
Thank you. The proposed amendment, and it's unfortunate to be voting on this while Commissioner Boyle isn't here, but every year he puts this amendment on our agenda for consideration of putting in term limits. And again, I will bring up, this only applies, as far as I can tell, I only see one position that this impacts, and that's my service on the Building Commission. Commissioner Boyle has wanted me off of there for quite a while, and every year brings up this amendment to try to encourage that, I guess, and yet then a simple majority can override this. And so if this only applies to one position and a simple majority can override it, I don't quite see the point of doing this. I think it muddies the waters, and I mean the next representative of the Building Commission will be, and I've discussed this a little bit with Commissioner Morgan, and I owe him more discussion on it. He's asked me a question about it, and I need to follow up on that. But it will be whoever gets the majority, the majority of the board wants on the Building Commission, that's who will be our representative. And I think that this amendment is unnecessary, probably ill-advised. So thank you.
Commissioner Tusa.
I also have to make a comment on the amendment with regards to the term limits on the appointments. Again, unfortunately, Mike's not here today, but I did previously send out an email saying that I will not be supporting the term limits on the appointments through the rules. So I just wanted to make a note of that we can go out at the beginning of the year or whenever the appointment is up to get votes from our fellow commissioners, and so far I have not seen a problem with that, and I will continue to agree with that. So I would like to make an amendment or whatever we have to do to, if we want to vote on the rules, that's fine, but I'd like to have that pulled out because I want to vote no. I'll vote yes on the rules, but I want to vote no on that certain amendment.
Does anybody object to having that pulled out? Okay. So it would be a friendly amendment. Commissioner Rogers, did you have any further comment? Okay. On our website, there were some is Karen here by any chance? Karen, would you come up? On the boards and commissions, you had some comments, and you'll need to identify yourself.
Karen Cole from the County Commissioner's Office.
Are you sure?
Just did housekeeping on the rules of order, added a couple committees to be consistent with the list that we were tracking in the office. And then under the website, we were tracking open positions for appointments and boards, just being consistent with what was out there already.
And if commissioners don't mind, I'd like to charge Karen with keeping the website, this portion of it, which is under her control, I believe, up to date as far as the open seats, the rules and regulations. What you mentioned that what is expected of the board members is not on there.
The actual, like the detail of each committee and each the responsibilities of each open position is not there currently.
Commissioners, do we want that on the website? That detail, and that if we do, is that something we can just do, or does it have to come before the board? Marianne, Commissioner Borgeson.
I think that would probably be a good idea to have a brief description and the duties. I mean, when people are looking to see if they would like to or what's available, their first question always is how much time is this going to take or what do I have to do? And so I think it would be pretty simple. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but like a paragraph of what each of the committees does and how much time, how often they meet would be beneficial, I think.
Okay.
Commissioner Morgan? Oh, yes.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Also, I'll take the 10 seconds to just say I support the idea of the term limit idea as far as serving. You know, I think it's just good to have, if I'm doing the pension board for 4 years or 8 years or whatever, I just think it's good, the variety of that. That's all.
Okay, is there anybody which Pam, Commissioner Tusa?
Quick question with regards to having Karen put a brief explanation on there. Is there any place on the website that actually lists each committee or appointment and has a list of when the meetings are, so that way if somebody else wanted, because they're all open meetings, correct?
Correct.
So that way if somebody wanted to attend a meeting just to sit in on it, I think it wouldn't, I don't know how much that would entail, but I don't think that would be a bad idea to be able to post when all the different meetings are, so either the other commissioners or the public may attend those meetings.
Okay, can do that. It's not there currently, so.
Okay, and Commissioner Morgan would like to keep the term limits in, so that's an amendment we'd have to have voted on, I believe. So you had a motion. I don't think there was a second. Commissioner Tusa?
Motion was
to eliminate.
Yeah, to remove the term limits from the rules. I'm sorry. To remove the term limits from the rules and vote on that separately.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
If I may, what I'm looking at is a proposed amendment to your 2012 Rules of Order, but the motion is to remove the amendment from...
Okay. Commissioner Tusa made an amendment to delete references in the Rules of Order that have to do with limiting the term limits. And Karen has some insight on that.
I can explain. On the Rules of Order, we updated that document with the housekeeping kind of changes we were going to make. Separate from that, we did the amendment that was from Mike Boyle for the term limits.
Okay. You did do it as a
for your
separate
request,
amendment.
yes.
Very good. Okay. So we need to vote on that.
The motion is to kill the proposed amendment.
Right. Okay.
It might be simpler just to vote on the rules and then vote on the amendment to the rules.
We will do it
Two
the
separate
simpler
votes.
way. Okay.
Does that make sense?
So,
Well, I guess I was just going to say you have make a motion on the floor for the adoption of the rules.
Okay, yes.
And second it, and then take a motion to for the rule that Commissioner Boyle put forward.
And let us do it that way, so I need you to withdraw your motion.
Okay, I withdraw my motion, and then I'll second it.
I make a motion to approve the rules for 2012.
And you withdrew your second on there. Okay. Any further discussion?
No, and then we'll come back with a separate vote on the amendments?
Correct.
Well, now we can do it.
Should we vote on the amendments now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you've confused me.
So
I'm sorry.
now there's an amendment on the floor
Right.
of Commissioner Boyle's. And is there a motion to approve that amendment?
There was a motion.
Is there that? Now you need a second for that.
Well, she had a motion to reject it
That's
first.
done. That's withdrew.
Okay. Okay. And is
So-
there a second?
I think I heard Mike say second.
He called in.
Or do you have your spreadsheet?
Mike? Yeah, he did.
Did your arm stretch over to vote on it?
Okay. Motion dies for a lack of seconds. Now we need a motion to approve the rules as presented.
Second.
Yeah, you have that on the floor.
Call for the vote. A little levity goes a long way.
Motion passes.
Okay, next on the agenda is Child and Youth Services. Commissioner Rogers. And, yes.
We have a meeting today at 1 o'clock in room 901 where we will be talking about the secure detention.
901 or 903?
I mean 903, sorry. Thank you.
And we'll be talking about what? Secure detention.
And among other things, but that's the thing that seems to have gotten some traction.
Staff secure.
Staff secure.
Staff secure, okay. Community Services, Commissioner Duda. You have nothing on the agenda, but is there any comment?
Nothing to report.
And criminal justice, we have nothing on the agenda, but we did have a wonderful meeting at the Day Reporting Center, and it was a 2.5-hour meeting. Most all of us were present. It was an excellent meeting, very informative. I'd like to thank Commissioner Boyle on that.
Not only was it a good meeting, if I might add, it was so good that Commissioner Boyle said he could even understand the logic of why we like to meet out at the health center with staff. He was so impressed with the quality of the meeting that we had down there on Friday.
And it was.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Tusa.
I'd also like to say I did enjoy going there for the meeting. It helped give me a more understanding because of the fact that we were able to sit there with the staff and several other persons to be able to join us, and then we have a tour of the facility afterwards, and we did even meet one of the persons who gave us a brief history of his stay there. And I really appreciated the time and the effort we did on that, but I really did get more out of the meeting there than I have just discussing, within the 2 minutes through the board. So I want to say thank you for that.
And that brings to mind that on the 14th, the young man who did the presentation will be here doing the presentation for the public. We will also have Mike Myers doing a presentation that he'd given to the Justice Committee. Health and Human Services, Commissioner Borgeson.
Nothing today.
And Human Resources, we have our weekly report from Civil Service, and this as presented, and we have legislative issues. The first one is an amendment 1577 to LB 344. LB 344 is a consideration to provide for an interjurisdictional planning commission for counties containing a city of the metropolitan class. And Commissioner Borgeson.
I'd make a motion to oppose LB 344. Second. And with that, if I may, I'd like to add a few comments that...
we would love to hear your comments.
No, and
I mean that sincerely.
I did. I just started to laugh when I read this. I mean, obviously, the senators have not read all of the materials that were sent over the course of the time that just I've been on this board, of the committees and task forces that have been formed and looked at this issue.
Can I interject? You said have not read all. Do you mean have not read any?
Any. There, yes, obviously.
Thank you. I will butt out now and let you speak.
And the latest one being that of the task force that was put together and submitted their report in 2008, and both the city and the county agreed that accepting the report and moving forward with functional mergers that made sense. And from that time, there have been numerous ongoing discussions, whether it be with various city council and county board members, whether it be with the chair of the board and the mayors, whoever the administration is, with areas in which there could be a potential functional merger or cooperation in some way, shape, or form. I also submit to you that we have updated our number of interlocal agreements that not only do we have with the City of Omaha, but with area counties and other agencies that total over 125 interlocal agreements that we have in place today, ongoing, current. And the latest just being the ones that we renewed through contract with the federal marshals and holding the prisoners over at our correction facility. So not only is this, in my opinion, this is very annoying, but it is also demeaning, I think, to local boards that the state continues to stick their nose in our business trying to tell us how we should operate. And I guess I wouldn't be so annoyed at that if they had their house in order, if their child welfare system was running smoothly, if their health and human services was running smoothly, if the roads department was running smoothly. I think and I've said this before, and I've actually said it to the introducer of this bill, this should not be a bill mandating the city and the counties to come together and speak. It should be a mandate from the state to come together with their local boards and talk to them about what the laws are that they pass that have a direct impact on the local taxpayers. And also, it should have a mandate for them to talk with their own administration at the state level in order to get their house in order. Once that's done, then they can come and talk to us about what we should be doing. But again, I'll resend it, and I'm actually going to ask staff if we can do that with the letter from the board, submitting again our merger studies that have occurred and the interlocal agreement packet that we have, and ask them to please read it before the next round of debate on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Duda.
Thank you, and I wholeheartedly agree with everything Commissioner Borgeson is saying here. Lately it's been coming to light a little bit, this Commission on Public Advocacy, and the workload of their lawyers and the treatment they get, and they say, well, our lawyers are just underpaid and overworked, and then to have the governor to have the guts to tell us we've got to learn to tighten our belts like he does. Our budget has shrunk for 2 years in a row, significantly lower than it was 2 years ago. But we don't get there by refusing to pay our bills. We are working today with 100 fewer employees than we had 2 years ago, which I have to tip my hat to the employees that we have that are doing more work now. It's not like the burden of work on the county has gone down or the demand for our services. The only thing that's gone down is our number of employees as we have tried to shrink the budget. Another merger study, basically it's a waste of resources. We are meeting constantly with the city. I'll guarantee you if we see an opportunity to do something cheaper or more efficiently, we're going to jump on it. That's what we're always looking for. That's what we do. But to take more of our resources to once again look at this just to placate some people that I think have other agendas, whether they are running for mayor or live in another county, it really galls me to have somebody from Lincoln keep saying Omaha and Douglas County ought to merge. I just wish once he would say Lincoln and Lancaster ought to look at it too. No, they never have to. Everybody uses us as their whipping post, and to show how tough they are on inefficient government, let's beat up on these guys. And I think we run the most efficient government around. But to put our staff through the hassles of yet another study just to placate some people that didn't even read the last study, they're wasting our time and resources with this. And I resent it. I wholeheartedly agree with Commissioner Borgeson.
Commissioner Tusa.
Also, I'd like to make a point. Even if it's not out there saying that the city and the county have done a study, doesn't mean that we haven't looked at almost everything. We have committee meetings as a board, which are open meetings. We have these all the time, and there are several times that we have major discussions about consolidating the city and the county on certain issues, and we don't need to spend thousands or millions of dollars to do this study. It's a major discussion that we have, and with all the feedback and all the studies we do without spending dollars, there are a lot of them that we have come to the conclusion that we just cannot merge. It just would not make any sense. There's no sense in continuing to spend tax money of our constituents to do a study on something that we know and the city knows that is not going to work. So it's not that we're just sitting by, just wholeheartedly saying, oh, well, let's not do it. No, we look at mergers constantly. Just because it's not out in the public doesn't mean that we don't continue to look at these. Thank you.
Anyone else wish for commentary on this? I would, Commissioner Morgan.
Go ahead.
Okay. I met with Mayor Suttle yesterday, and this was one of the issues we discussed. And we have the issue of the SIDs, which have a larger taxing assessment because they have their indebtedness is very large. The city does not want to annex it. The mayor said that should we annex these SIDs and the other underdeveloped parts of the county, the city property tax would have to go up to 8 cents. How many of us want to even raise the property tax by 1 cent, let alone 5, 6, 7, or 8? efficiencies. We have merged and looked at everywhere we can for efficiencies. As Commissioner Borgeson stated, we merged she didn't use this exact example, but we merged the purchasing departments. It didn't go as smoothly as everybody thought it would. We're still working out some kinks, and that's been merged for how many years, Marianne?
5 or 6.
And we're doing a study right now where we should be able to realize the savings we envisioned 5 or 6 years ago. The cost of doing the study could easily exceed $200,000 when you look at staff time, support time, secretarial time, publications, the, quote, advisors they would garner to do the study. And as we've stated, how many more studies do we need? This is folly. And with that, Commissioner Morgan.
Okay. I respect what everyone's saying. I think it's in our best interest, and I said this last year, I still think it's in our best interest to at least meet with Senator Ashford, talk about this, and have some discussion with him to talk about our points and his points. And I think we ought to be doing that, whether it's 3 months from now when the legislature is not in session, to hear some of the reasons why he believes this is the right thing to do. And of course, you hear it from citizens all the time that, hey, you see that there's mergers of large corporations in the private sector. It brings about efficiency. I mean, U.S. Bank has had, I think, over 500 mergers where they've put things together. I'm not trying to compare us with a large bank or some other private industry, but I think the people want to see us trying to figure out, are there some gains if we are to do that? And that's something, at least if Senator Ashford has some support, and I respect what he's tried to do for the city and the county in different instances, which he has done, that we ought to at least have a meeting with him when the session's out, because we're always asking sometimes for things. We ought to at least have the courtesy to say, hey, we'd like to talk to you about it. I wouldn't mind looking at the 08 study that you did. I wasn't here. Don't know that much about the study that was done. Maybe take a look at that study. I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Kraft, about spending several $100,000. We can't be spending $200,000 to look at another study if we have studies, unless Senator Ashford has some good reasons that he can talk about and some of us may support. But I don't think there's any harm or cost to meet with them when they're not in session and see if that can be arranged and do it in a way that's respectful of what he may have as a suggestion. Lastly, I just say to you, I'm totally in favor of wherever there can be a meaningful partnership and not just some kind of camouflage of a partnership, and we know that we've had those. They're not always real.
I believe we're all in agreement with most of that. I do have one comment. If we wait till the end of the session, is this not going to be voted on during the session? There's a potential of it being passed. What I would suggest, in which you're right, we should talk to him, and I believe that Rick Kubat has, have you not, on this issue?
Spoken with Senator Ashford?
Yes.
We discussed it with him at the legislative breakfast that we had last session, but there's been no discussions between myself and Senator Ashford this year.
I would suggest that we either individually or through one of our committees approach Senator Ashford again and discuss it with him. And we can do it through either the Finance Committee or the Human Resources or whichever committee we deem appropriate. But Mr. Kubat, if you could make sure that we follow up on this today and arrange a meeting.
I will, and just so the board's on the same page, as the bill has been amended, it has advanced from general file to select file, so it's in the final stages of passage.
I'll call Senator Ashford today just to talk with him and see if there's a morning or sometime that he's not in some meetings where he might be able to meet with us, and we can make it a public meeting if he wants to, or talk to him individually, and he can call some of the others whatever way he prefers to do that, if that's acceptable to others.
That's fine.
To at least talk to him.
Yes, I believe it's acceptable.
And I don't know if he has some other state senators that are on this bill with him. Do you know? Okay.
Commissioner Borgeson.
Well, I'm all for, giving it a whirl to talk to him, but I think we have in the past and been very respectful of that, actually. It's the other way around, that we had a senator's breakfast this year and nothing was brought up about it. And we got word 2 days before it was to be heard on the floor that this was going to be heard on the floor, and there was this amendment. So I think that it's a two-way street. But all the talk, that's fine. Go ahead, have a meeting with him. But I would still like all of the information sent to all the senators, because again, I don't think that they have looked at or have knowledge of what has currently and continually goes on here in Douglas County, along with our counterpart, the City of Omaha, in cooperation.
Okay, I agree.
Commissioner Tusa.
And I agree with you, Marianne. I mean, I know the senators have a lot on their plate. I know they have a lot of reading to do, but for some reason, I don't know if they read everything that, different boards or committees send to them, but I agree. We need to send all the senators a list of all the mergers that or interlocal agreements that we are currently doing, and to also inform them that, like I said, we're not stopping. We continually work on this with all our committee meetings and discuss it with them, but I think we really, really need to point out that how major that of an importance it is that they look at this and read this to say, yeah, we're not just sitting by the sidelines. We are trying to merge whatever we possibly can, again, without the cost of taxpayers' dollars. Thank you.
Commissioner Duda.
Thank you. Just to reinforce the point that Commissioner Borgeson has made with this, I had the opportunity to speak to a staffer yesterday of a state senator not from Douglas County who voted for this because it sounds like a good idea, and he had no idea that we have ever looked at merger. I have a newspaper article from the 1930s touting why Omaha and Douglas County ought to be merging. Dan Lynch told me he had one from the 1890s. So to read an editorial in the World Herald saying, well, other places have been talking since the 1800s about this. Well, we have here too. But people don't remember it. And we apparently have to keep educating them. I also think this is a little bit, you're seeing some of the effects of term limits, of no institutional memory. There are so few senators down there that have any idea what happened 10 years ago. And so they're all getting a fresh slate and a fresh start, and so we have to just keep doing the same things over and over again, apparently, to placate them, because they don't remember that we just did it. So that point of trying to educate them and let them know what all we have gone through, I think, is very important. If I could, one last one. Yes. Reading in the World Herald that our purchasing departments are looking at joint purchasing when we merged those departments years ago. But I don't think the World Herald knows we merged those departments. And so they think it's great that we're exploring making joint purchases. I don't think the world realizes what all we have done and gone through already, and how much cooperation there is today. Thank you.
And thank you all. Do we have a motion? Yes.
The dean. Honored to have you down here, Mr. Doyle.
Tom Doyle, Douglas County engineer. The last merger study that was chaired by Lou Lamberty met about 28 times, and I attended at least 26 of those, and another gentleman whom you know, Mason Steinberg, attended all the other ones, plus the ones that I attended. I've got a stack of material that is about as high as this desk that I can turn over to anyone that wishes to do a little research on the merger. But the bill that you see right now, basically, is that It says there not that you shall study whether there is to be a merger or not, but you shall have a joint committee that will come up with a plan for a merger. The floor debate indicated you're not asking whether we ought to merge, but to come up with a plan. What's the best plan you can come up with? Also, it's not really clear. They say the bill says each of the cities in Douglas County will be allowed a representative in addition to Omaha and Douglas County having their 4. Where does Boys Town come in? Is Boys Town a city in terms of that particular bill? There's four we know incorporated municipalities, and Boys Town is the 5th one. So there are a lot of unknown factors. I guess I'm kind of like the groundhog that comes out on Groundhog Day. Whenever we talk about a merger, I seem to want to see, what sunlight somebody can throw on an issue that has been worked over and over again. And again, there's no reason why, if Omaha was desirous of annexing all of Douglas County with interlocal agreements and annexation authority, it could be done. But there are good reasons not to do it, such as the mayor indicated to Commissioner Kraft that you'd have an 8-cent increase if you had to annex the SIDs. Well, another twist on that is that while the SIDs under existing law would vote in a merger and bring in people like Commissioner Duda, who were maybe 10,000 of them with another 50,000, they would have to vote as a block. Right now they can block it, but that's what originally 344 was intended to do. And the SIDs, ironically, can vote to bring in folks like Commissioner Duda, but they do not become a part of the merged metropolitan county. They're exempted. They don't come in. So it's questionable whether that really would, and there are, 50,000 people out there. They can bring you in. So that's 90,000. That's representation without taxation, really. It's just a reverse. So it's not a simple thing at all. The one merger that took place because the legislature mandated it was Indianapolis and Marion County, and that was mandated because the local one party was in control, and by mandating it, the legislature was the opposite party, and they mandated it. Now they have over 20 taxing jurisdictions. They're working on merging a city of the law enforcement. They really have not. They've got another layer of bureaucracy without really having done what they set out to do. So merger is a very difficult thing to get your hands around, and I think the people at the local level know best. The legislature doesn't always know best, and your position is a good one. Study it, merge where you can with interlocal agreements, but if it doesn't make, what are you going to merge the hospital with? City County. What does that match up with? It doesn't really match up with, and you could go on and on. Your services to the indigent. What are you going to match that up with? It just doesn't really. It sounds good. It's got curb appeal. If you're in the business of real estate, it's got curb appeal. But when you go and look at the inside, boy, you got a lot of fixing up to do before you get something that's really going to work. So that's my groundhog speech for today.
Dan, your insight is wonderful and always Tom.
Yeah.
I know better.
Yeah,
Tom, your insight is always appreciated.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and I'm not against mergers, but my point is you got to really know what you're doing, because you can ring that bell, but once you rang it and you've got a merger in statute, it's pretty hard to unring it. So you better be careful asking for something, because you may not really be happy with what you get.
And if I may, Dan Lynch shared with me a stack not quite as high as the one you indicated, but probably a third that high, about merger and merger studies, and I believe, if I remember correctly, he was very adamant that it didn't make sense. Am I remembering correctly?
Right. Yeah, Dan had a lot of. Dan was an advocate. He was president of NACO at the national level, if you remember, at one time. And that article that you have, Commissioner Duda, probably Harry Truston was a person on the city council that was recommending that merger. I think back in 37 or 38.
I'll go reread it. You're probably right.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
And thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Any questions?
We need a motion to oppose or accept?
Marianne did, and I
You did.
seconded.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Motion passes.
Next, we have LB 939, Commissioner Borgeson.
Thank you. LB
39.
939 is a consideration to change the notice provision for conservatives, and basically what it is mailing them through the general mail rather than certified mail, so there would be a cost savings in order for these mailings to go out.
Commissioner Borgeson?
Yes.
As it relates to this one, the only thing that I would like permission from the board just to be able to send a letter of support that we support that specific provision as it relates to how we mail out notices to conservators. I spoke with the presiding judge of county court, and she said that this is going to get rather expensive if we have to send all these out by certified mail.
That's if it passes. We'll let you do that. A motion to support LB 939.
Go ahead, Rick.
So, if I could the motion on the floor, rather than bother our lobbying services with this, is just to send a letter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
And there is a second?
Second.
I see no lights on. Call for the vote.
Motion passes.
Next, again, is Commissioner Borgeson on LB 825.
LB 825 is basically instituting, if you will, storefront space in various locations across the state of Nebraska to help that are staffed by caseworkers that would help individuals that come in and fill out their applications for qualifying state services. And so I would ask that we support LB 825.
And if I may ask a question, Marianne, is the state going to be paying for these offices?
They would be, yes.
Okay.
Well, we hope so.
Good luck there.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Motion passes.
Next is LB 826, again, Commissioner Borgeson.
The LB 826 basically sets forth a provision where the legislature would have to approve any changes to the Medicaid rules or regulations that are put forth. Right now, the HHS just has the administrative ability to change them. This would make it so that they have to go before the legislature in order for those changes to take place. And I would ask that we support LB 826.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I see no discussion. Call for the vote.
Motion passes.
Okay. I just set something down. Okay. Next is LB 952. Commissioner Borgeson.
This LB 952 basically stops the implementation of the Medicaid cuts that are set forth for the biennium in 2011 and 2013. And there's a listing of them, such as a limit of 2 behavioral health therapy visits of 60 visits per year. That wouldn't be eliminated. They wouldn't eliminate the dental services, including dentures for adults. There's a list that was set forth in order for those cuts to take place, and this would not allow those cuts to take place. So I would ask that we support LB 952. And again, one of the things with Medicaid everybody has to remember is if something is paid with Medicaid, it's paid with a 60-40 split versus something that would fall through the cracks and down to the counties at 100% for property taxes. And I take you back to, I don't remember what year it was, but it was the Ribicoff program that covered 19 and 20-year-olds. It was a Medicaid program. And the state, just with the vote, eliminated that, which was to the tune of $5.7 million here in Douglas County for one given year in order to provide services to those individuals. And so, again, the benefit of having that 60-40 split, I think, is much more appealing than 100% of local property taxpayer dollars. So I would ask you to support LB 952.
And is there a second?
Second.
No further discussion. Call for the vote.
Motion passes.
And next we have a resolution directing Douglas County to move to a fully insured dental plan with MetLife through the end of 2012. Patrick Bloomingdale?
As stated in the previous HR committee meeting, Chase Bank, who is the bank for MetLife, is no longer authorized to hold public funds. They chose to go in that direction, and therefore we needed to decide in very short notice what to do because we're talking about March 1st. So the decision was made at the committee level to go fully insured with MetLife just through the end of this year, because there's really no time to go out for an RFP by March 1st, obviously. So we are going to be going out for an RFP to go back to self-insured for next year. But for the time being, this is just a stopgap measure to get us through the rest of this year. There's going to be no additional cost to the county or the employees as a result of this change. It's pretty ministerial, administrative, and it's not something that we're going to see any difference in how things operate at the dental insurance level.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I see no discussion. Call for the vote.
Motion passes.
A quick announcement. There will be a committee meeting, Child and Youth Services, at 1 p.m. today in room 903. Commissioner Rogers is the chair. There is need for an executive session to discuss labor issues, labor negotiations, and litigation.
Personnel can be one of the, should we list that as a reason?
And we'll add personnel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Borgeson. Motion passes.
Well, it's good to see Tom go out.